Welcome to our first installment of the United Soybean Board virtual coffee shops. This week we'll be talking a lot about high oleic soybeans. I'm your host, Brownfield Ag News Indiana Farm Director Meghan Grebner. To kick things off, let's go around and see who is all with us, and everybody can introduce themselves. Sarah, we'll start with you.
Hi, I am Sarah Vosick with Monsanto, and I'm leading our effort here at Monsanto to bring Vista Gold to the marketplace and launch it.
Russ?
Hi, I'm Russ Sanders with DuPont Pioneer, and I coordinate our efforts with Pioneer Plenish high oleic soybean.
Mark, how about you?
Mark Sandine with AGP, and I'm responsible for the marketing at our processing plants, and I get to work with these good people on our high oleic programs.
And last but not least, Delbert, if you could introduce yourself, please.
I'm Delbert Christensen, a board member of the United Soybean Board. Live close to the Manning plant where AGP will be probably processing the high oleic soybeans.
We use the term high oleic soybeans, so I guess we should probably discuss and maybe understand better what they are. Sarah and Russ, I'll let you take turns. If you guys want to describe and explain what high oleic soybeans are and what they do.
Sure. So the easiest way to explain it are they're soybeans that produce a different oil profile, and high oleic describes exactly what they are. Oleic is one of the types of oil that are in soybeans, and these soybeans have a higher level of that. And oleic is what you would find in olive oil and avocados. It is the monounsaturated good fat that a lot of food customers and others in the industry are looking for.
And the only thing I would add to that is that we really view it almost as a total reinvention of soybean oil because the changes are that significant. The fatty acids, which are really the building blocks in the oil, as Sarah indicated, have been dramatically improved, and really the advantage that brings for the downstream oil customer is a much greater extension of the fry life and shelf life when it's in a packaged food products, but probably more important for the grower, it presents really a new market opportunity because we're going to not only gain back many markets that we lost to the trans fat labeling issue here over the last several years, but also enter some new markets just because this oil is so incredibly stable. So it's really an exciting product for really everybody in the soybean value chain.
Delbert, that's kind of the business side of it. Talk to me about what high oleic means to you as an Iowa soybean farmer.
Well, actually, one of the reasons that Keckoff got involved with the high oleic soybean is the opportunity to position the U.S. soy industry into the future and make farming more profitable. I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to growing these and getting them to market, and I think that'll be helpful to the farmers to receive maybe a little bit of a premium, but just see that the growth potential of those beans in our area.
Thanks, Delbert. Mark?
Thank you.
Mark, on the processing side of things, how do high oleic soybeans change what you do and what benefits you can provide as well?
Well, for AGP, it's a benefit for us to try to reclaim some of the market share that we have lost in the food industry by the banning of partially hydrogenated oils, of course, again, which produce trans fats. The food industry has had to move away from partially hydrogenated oils and replace that with palm and other alternative oils to make that work at the expense of soybean oil. For us, that's just a way for us, again, to reclaim market share. We are doing this because it's something that benefits the food industry, but also benefits the producers in our areas where we can offer more competitive premiums and prices, especially at a time here where margins have been squeezed. There'll be a big benefit for the producer.
And we'll get into some of the economics of growing high oleic soybeans later on. But let's talk a little bit about, we hear the term market share. At the height of soybean oil, before the ban on trans fats, what percentage of the marketplace did soybean oil have?
Well, if you go back to a decade ago, you saw that soybean oil made up about 80% of the food oil being used in the U.S., and today it's around 60%. So we've lost a considerable amount of market share. About 25% of our use went away as we migrated away from soybean oil, looking for alternatives to trans fats.
And this is an opportunity to give U.S. soybean farmers a chance to regain some of that market share?
Regain that market share, and like you heard from the other speakers, it's regaining that market share as well as expanding the uses into new uses as well.
And I think one of the other exciting points about high oleic soybean is that it really allows us to compete with a product that Midwestern growers can produce, because one of the really two of the beneficiaries of some of this lost market share for soybeans in the last 10 years or so has gone to high oleic canola, or it's gone to even palm oil producers. And the challenge, and I think the opportunity, is that those are products that Midwestern farmers really can't grow. So I think what makes us excited about this is that it gives the Midwestern farmer an opportunity to participate in not only recapturing the market but helping it to grow.
Now, these soybeans are only being planted in certain areas or in test areas throughout the United States. Delbert is in Iowa, and in his section of the world, he's able to plant them. Where is the market right now, and where do you see it growing?
Well, as far as AGP, we'll be processing these soybeans at our Manning, Iowa facility. That's in west central Iowa. We'll start out as a small program, but we hope to see that grow over time. And then we plan to offer this as a option in other areas where we have facilities in the western Midwest. Again, as the program grows and as the demand grows.
Delbert, what's the proposed plan for growth for these high oleic soybeans?
Well, right now this is the first that we've grown them in Iowa. They've been more grown in the I think Ohio and Indiana area, but they've had great success, and so farmers in our area are really excited. There's I think 4 co-ops that are actually the ones that are bringing those soybeans to market for AGP, and that's great opportunity for a farmer-owned entity to be gathering these beans together and processing these beans so they can get advantage of the oil that is in the beans.
You guys mentioned new uses. We talked about food obviously being used in food, but what are some of the other innovations and new uses that you guys are hoping to see come from high oleic soybeans?
Well, I think a couple of areas that we're excited about would involve such areas as biolubricants. And again, these are products where there's more and more concern about having renewability or biodegradability as functions of those sorts of products. So that's an exciting area. Another one, dielectric fluids, the cooling solutions that are actually inside electrical transformers, automobile passenger tires. Another place where, when you think about places where petroleum products are used, and there's a desire to have, again, renewability, sustainability, biodegradability, those are all really attractive market spaces that this product can help us fill.
Something that I don't think people understand is when we're talking about biolubricants, we're talking about products like motor oil. So there's a company out there, Biosynthetics Technologies, that takes high oleic soybean oil and can convert that using a patented process into a new chemical called an estolide. So it's a bio-based product, reduces the American reliance on petroleum products, and it creates a motor oil that performs at or above some of the high-end synthetic motor oils. So really great performance produced from really great products from U.S. soybean farmers.
Those are great end user aspects of it. Let's talk a little bit about production. Delbert, let's start with you. When we look at growing high oleic soybeans? You mentioned this is the first year you were able to do so in Iowa. What was attractive about it? What made you want to put some of your acres to high oleic soybeans?
Well, just the fact that we were able to gain back some of the fryer markets, after the Food and Drug Administration talked about phasing out hydrogenated oils, it was important for us to try to get back in that market and keep some of that market. So the fact that these beans are yielding at high yields, very comparable to the varieties that we have now. The fact that we can deliver them later on in the season, we're able to have some on-farm storage and use that on-farm storage to give us some more marketing opportunities. Is really beneficial for the farmers in my area here.
Are there changes to your management practices when it comes to planting and growing high oleic soybeans?
Well, not really a lot. On the high oleic soybeans, of course, you have to clean out the planter, but not it doesn't have to be perfectly separated of the beans. And also, whenever we change from a traditional soybean to a high oleic soybean, the combines have to be cleaned out. But even if there is a few beans left in the combine, this isn't restrictive for getting the oil to the market. It isn't near the high bar that it is of other traits that we are shipping in overseas.
One of the best ways that I've heard that described is the way that growers are managing it on farm would be keeping it separate from other soybeans the same way you keep your corn separate from your soybeans. It's just like managing another crop. So the added steps don't feel overly burdensome to growers whenever they're growing them. It's really easy to manage on farm.
Yields, profitability, return on investment, how does that all factor into making a decision to plant high oleic soybeans, Delbert?
Well, with the economics of farming right now, with high land prices and high cash rents, it seems like anytime we can have a crop that is one that we can market at a little bit of a premium, and it grows the yields that we need to pay the rents that we do out here. We want to try to look to those items and try to regain market share back in the market for these high oleic soybeans, because I think it's a real opportunity for us to bring a whole new variety of beans that actually if we could get high oleic beans back to the market at a great pace, we would be able to probably have one of the higher oil contents as far as like corn oil, soybean oil, and this high oleic would be a whole separate oil area in that area.
Mark, when we talk about management, how does the storage change, or does it change things drastically for at harvest for you guys?
Well, really very little at all. Like Delbert said, that some would be stored at the farm, some will store at elevators and perhaps at our processing plants. But like mentioned before, it's very similar to if you were to store beans or corn separately. There isn't much difference in how you clean or how you store with the high oleic soybeans. So there's not a lot of extra or different methods that you have to deal with. So it actually makes it a relatively easy IP process, whether that's on the farm, at the elevator, or at the processor.
And just to clarify, by IP you mean identity preserve?
That's correct.
As we talk about the future growth for high oleic, Delbert, when you look ahead to 2016, we're looking at another year with tight margins and lower commodity prices. Does that added premium give you incentive to put more acres to high oleic soybeans?
Yes, it definitely does. If we're having yields out here of 60 bushels or more, we've been working steadily at increasing our yields, and if we're able to receive a little premium on these beans, that just helps our bottom line immensely.
What are some other things that we need to know about the market for high oleic soybeans? Maybe Sarah and Russ, some things that we're looking at in the pipeline and that we are excited about for the future of this product and this program.
Well, I think from the standpoint of growth for this product, it's really at a very, very interesting stage because just recently we were able to talk about how Nestle, the world's largest food company now, is using, in our case, Plenish high oleic in their Coffee Mate product, really in something like well over 20 different varieties of that product, really all of their various product flavors, which is exciting because on one hand, those are very, very large-scale uses, but the sobering part of that is there are a number of other very large food companies that are in the final stages of evaluation of high oleic soybean oil, and one of the challenges we have as an industry is to be able to step up as a reliable supplier to produce the acres that we need to grow, and I guess we as seed companies have to do everything we can to make sure that that farmers realize a good result from the standpoint of yield and agronomics with these products. And again, from a processing standpoint, and Mark lives that world, that the entire value chain has to operate very efficiently if we're to reach the full potential. But I think, again, we're at an exciting time, and high oleic soy does have the opportunity, we really believe, to own this high stability oil category because of the great productivity of soybeans and just the strong demand signals that we're getting that tell us the market really wants this product.
I would echo those comments. I mean, the energy that we're seeing in the oil market is a lot higher than we've ever seen it in bringing this product to the marketplace. Some of it, I'm sure, is due to the FDA determination on trans fats and food companies looking for alternatives, but there's a lot coming together, being in the right place at the right time, farmers choosing to adopt it on farm because of the yields that we've been able to achieve with these products. And that speaks to the investment that the USB is making in high oleic, the fact that we've got robust pipelines of products coming out to farmers for them to plant on farm. In the case of Vistif Gold, there's multiple brands in the marketplace, so farmers have choice in the marketplace in what they would choose to purchase. And we've also got in our pipeline Roundup Ready to Extend being stacked with Vistif Gold. So as farmers look to change their on-farm practices, improve their weed control, as we get into the end of the decade, farmers will also be able to count on Vistif Gold stacked with Extend. So the pipeline is rich with products that farmers are going to want to plant on farm.
I'm going to come back to the food market again because it's the one that I've been able to cook with high oleic soybean oil, and I love it in our house, and the ability and the diversity that it has. As you talk to folks in the food industry, what gets them excited about this option? Not just the trans fat, but what are some of the other great things that high oleic oil offers to those end users, like chefs? I know we've talked to a gentleman that does the donuts and some of the things, the great and creative things that it's being used for on that end.
Gosh, one of the things that comes first and foremost is the flavor of the oil. So if you're a chef, the fact that it's got a light, neutral flavor really lets their own product shine, and that's something that we hear from chefs and as well as food companies. The other piece too, and as the news about trans fats came out, a lot of journalists and articles were also mentioning the fact that the next target in the food industry is going to be saturated fat. And what's really great about high oleic soybean oil is that it's got reduced saturated fat. Vistif Gold has 60% less saturated fat than commodity soybean oil, and then it's a tremendous improvement over a product like palm oil that's the majority saturated fat in its makeup. So there's a lot of great things that the food industry is looking at here with Vistif Gold and high oleic soybean oil.
Yeah, and a point I would add to that too, particularly in some of these large, high volume sorts of restaurant operations, is just the the terrific value that high oleic brings from the standpoint of extended fry life, and with that, along with what Sarah was indicating, an improved flavor profile. The oil not only lasts longer, but it lasts better, if you will, from the standpoint of how it performs in those various food applications. So another very interesting side benefit that we're seeing too is that this polymer film, if you want to use that term, that builds up on cooking surfaces, we've also found that there's far less of that material. In high volume restaurant operations, that can be real pain from the standpoint of cleaning that film off surfaces. And again, that's another benefit that really reflects in the restaurant operator's bottom line. So lots of things, all the way from a great product for the consumer from the standpoint of nutrition and flavor, but also from the standpoint of meeting real savings to the restaurant operator or the food manufacturer.
We talk about all of the great benefits that high oleic soybean oil and high oleic soybeans provide. Has there been any resistance, especially with all of the conversations about GM labeling and those types of things? Any adversities on that end with the acceptance from the food industry or from chefs and end users?
We've definitely gotten the question. So the question comes up, but for Monsanto's perspective, this is also a great opportunity. So one of the things is we were bringing biotechnology out to the marketplace, from the get-go. One of the points that got made was farmers see the benefit of biotechnology products, but do consumers see the benefit? And we can talk a lot about the benefits to consumers because we're able to protect the environment and do a better job, be more efficient in our farming practices because of the traits that we've been able to launch. But high oleic soybean oil is a lot more direct of a benefit to consumers, for them to be able to see on a nutrition facts panel that there's 0 grams trans fat and that there's more monounsaturated fat in the products that they're purchasing. I think there's a better way for us to tell the story about agriculture and biotechnology wrapped up in these products.
Yeah, and I would just add to that too, whether it's a conversation with a large multinational food company, which I think we've all had many, where the topic of the GM status of high oleic is raised. I think in the build on what Sarah was saying, the point that it does open some eyes that this truly is a technology that does benefit folks other than the farmer. And I think we would say that in virtually no case have we had a major account say no to high oleic because of GM status. In fact, quite the contrary. I think we've seen some very positive upside. And I think USB, the Biotechnology Industry Organization, BIO, and others have used this as a really terrific example as to how we can better tell the story of biotechnology.
A couple more quick questions, Mark. We'll ask you on the processing side of anything. How well is the processor, or how well are processors positioned for growth of high oleic acres, high oleic soybeans, and is it an exciting avenue for you guys in the future?
Well, I think so very much. We have done other IP or identity preserved programs in the past, and we know that we can handle this. We know that the elevator and the producer can handle this as well. So from that side of it, it's not anything new. We've done it before. And I think that it's important to remember that it's always a good thing when we can differentiate our products from other products. And high oleic soybeans and soybean oil does this for us. We've talked about already about how the premiums are good for the producer, but also just the overall additional demand in oil will help us prop up soybean prices in general. Even for the producer that doesn't grow these soybeans, more demand is good because the bean in itself is really soybean meal and soybean oil. And the more you add value to those components, the more you add value to the soybean itself. So I think it's very exciting. I know that the producers that we've visited with are excited about it. So I expect this to grow and grow rather quickly.
Before we wrap up, we'll give folks, if anybody watching has any questions, feel free to ask those now through the sidebar. Any other closing comments from you, Delbert, about your experiences as an Iowa soybean farmer planting and growing high oleic soybeans in your first year?
Well, I think the main concern that I see and that farmers see out here, this is a chance for us to bring something to the consumer that the consumer can benefit by using, and I think it's something that the consumer and the person that is uh, in the chain of delivering the biodiesel or the bio beans, uh, it's a benefit that everybody can improve their bottom line a little bit from the beans, and yet the consumer gets exactly what they're looking for in a healthier choice to as a oil.
Any other closing comments, Sarah, Russ, Mark?
Yeah,
Nope. For the opportunity. Sorry, Russ. I'd say you see a lot of excitement from us bringing these products to the marketplace, the industry as a whole. This is really unprecedented ground that USB is leading the charge with the growers and helping bring it to the marketplace. I think the critical point is that there's food demand or oil demand. There's great products for farmers to plant now. It's really important that farmers are able to get those products planted so that we can build the supply for the end users.
Yeah, and I guess I would just close by saying, too, how it's absolutely critical that this be a total team effort, really across the chain. And I think there are other, maybe other crops at times that have maybe thought about doing something on this scale, but I don't think anyone has really approached it quite the way that the soybean industry is doing this, all the way from seed and technology companies to the grower, to the grain system, to the processor and downstream food customers, that we're all in this together. But I think we're seeing some great signs that there's really powerful momentum that's building, and so we're really excited about what lies ahead in the next few years. But again, we all have to stay really committed and step up to make sure that we win.
Mark, the last word is yours.
Well, again, I agree with everyone has said. This is really a win-win for the producer, the processor, the food industry, the consumer. You know, there's not that many times that these things come along that is a win for everybody, and I think this is one of those.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it, and we hope you enjoyed your time as well, learning a little bit more about high oleic soybeans.